Eugeria Live, brought to you by Griswold Home Care. Eugeria is a Greek word meaning health of body and mind in aging individuals. Eugeria Live is a weekly show celebrating the heroes that contribute to the Eugeria of our elderly and disabled population. Now, joining us in the studio are your hosts, John Butler and Sam Grass.
We're really thrilled to have Kelley Napier with us today. Kelley and I have known each other professionally for a number of years. She and her partner, Chris, are well-known, well-respected elder attorneys in the Atlanta area. And we've had the opportunity to work together on a few clients. We'd like to be able to do more, obviously, but we'll work together as it's appropriate. But Kelley is, like I said, is a great speaker, a well-known, informed expert in elder care. And of course, she is an elder attorney. So with that, Kelley, I'd like for you to, if you don't mind, share a little bit about who you are, where'd you come from, as far as much as you want to share, either personally or professionally, how you got involved in elder law, how you got connected in partnering with Chris, and kind of what it is about your work that you do together that we ought to know more about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, John, and thank you for Sam for having me on today. I'm Kelley Napier with Brannon Napier Elder Law. We're an estate planning and elder law firm in Metro Atlanta, and we serve most of North Georgia. How did I get into elder law? Sheer luck. I was very lucky. I spent most of the 2000s working with my family in a family-owned and run construction company. When we stopped building things in 2008 and 2009, I had a social worker friend from undergrad who wanted me to come work for the elder law attorney that she worked for. And she convinced me to apply and convinced them to hire me to do Medicaid planning. And I fell in love with it and went back to law school while I was working so that I could be an elder law attorney and do more Medicaid planning, veterans planning, estate planning, and continue to do this, which I love. So it's been a great adventure. I grew up in Metro Atlanta. I'm from Beaufort, went to North Gwinnett. I have my undergraduate in sociology and social work from Oglethorpe University in Brookhaven, a master's degree in business administration from Piedmont College in North Georgia, and I got my law degree in 2015 from Georgia State downtown. They had an excellent part-time program that gave me the opportunity to work while I was doing my law degree.
If I can jump in just a second, I have a very close relative of mine that is in his late 20s, finishing law school. How was it? What was it like going back to law school at that age?
It was different. I also did my MBA while I was working. So I had some experience with night school already. So, but Georgia State, I can't speak highly enough of the incredible program they have there. About a third of their law students are non-traditional students. So folks who are more than 2 or 3 years out of undergrad. So I was actually part of the younger set, even at 30, starting law school. So it was a challenge, but it was definitely different going in knowing exactly what I wanted to do, working in exactly what I wanted to do while I was in law school. So I would say less for your relative who's finishing up and more for folks who are thinking about law school. It is an expensive place to find yourself. It's a really good place if you have a goal. So law school is a good place to go if you know why you're there.
That's fantastic. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on the firm, what you do specifically in the elder community, and bring that to the table.
Yeah, so our firm is located at Spaghetti Junction. So we're pretty easy for most folks around town to get to. And one thing that sets us apart is that we will also visit our clients where they live as appropriate. During these times with the pandemic going on, we cannot visit clients who are in assisted livings, independent livings, or nursing homes in person, but we are still doing some signings with those folks through the window. So they're inside the facility with the facility staff, and we're outside the facility watching everything happen as it's happening through the window, which has been a great way. It's built our relationships with the staff in a lot of these facilities. We're reconnecting with a lot of social workers through this. But we're still, when we have folks at home that is just really not feasible to get them out, or they need to have more than one person with them in a meeting, we are still visiting clients at home. We're trying to do those on porches, on back decks, the best we can. Most of our work these days is virtual. So most of our clients, all of our meetings are virtual until we're ready to sign. And then we're doing drive-up signings. So folks are driving to our office and staying in their car, and we're coming outside to meet them in the parking lot for signings. The governor did sign an executive order that gives notaries the ability to notarize things virtually via Zoom or any other video platform. However, the governor left out some steps in the executive order, and it's not exactly clear how some of the pieces are supposed to be signed. And we are extra conservative about making sure things are signed perfectly, because we don't want our families to ever run into issues where they're struggling to use a document they've signed with us. So we are not currently using the governor's executive order. We're still signing things face-to-face, in person, and all signing the same papers. Mm-hmm. So from the governor's order, it appears that I could notarize you signing something now, and you could email it to me. And then that's what I notarize the emailed copy. Well, then it's not real clear what's the original. The other states that have authorized virtual signings have real clear description about what's an original document and what we do with all those other copies. And Georgia left that a little open-ended. As far as what we do estate planning. So everybody over age 18, you don't have to be an elder to need an advance directive for healthcare, a financial power of attorney, and most of us want to have a will in place. So we do that for all of our clients from 18 to our oldest client turned 103 in the spring. So, and they've all got those same basic things in place. We also do Medicaid planning. So helping people either plan ahead, that they know they've got a scary diagnosis and know they may need nursing home care in 5 or 6 years. Or more often than not, folks have found themselves in the hospital and then in a nursing home for rehab and realize they're not going to be able to rehab enough to return home and be able to manage their own care at home anymore. And so we help folks in that position get qualified for nursing home Medicaid and protect assets for a surviving spouse or another family member who may need some asset protection. We help with the VA aid and attendance benefits. This is a cash pension from the VA for wartime veterans and their spouses. The VA changed the rules on us in 2018 and have made it easier for people with very little assets to qualify and much harder for people with moderate to a large amount of assets to qualify for this pension. But we can help families plan for that pension as well. So my law partner, Chris Brannon, also does guardianship. So for families who haven't planned ahead, guardianship and conservatorship is the process to gain access to the assets or control the care of a loved one who's incapacitated and doesn't have any planning documents in place. So
you have a situation come up where a person that is mentally incapacitated and has not gotten that in place. Can you still help them to get the help they need? Can you still help them with that?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the guardianship and conservatorship process. So guardianship is when a probate court names an adult to be in charge of your care. And conservatorship is the same process, but it's when the court names someone else to be in charge of your assets. So the threshold that us as a family member would have to prove for the person we're trying to get guardianship and conservatorship of is that they're unable to make or communicate significant responsible decisions, either about their health or about their finances. And then we also help folks with probate. So once a loved one has passed away, we generally are trying to help folks avoid probate. So do the planning on the front end so that we don't end up in the probate court. But when we do, it still happens. And sometimes that is the best planning. And so we can help folks navigate that process. It's not terrible in Georgia, but there are some administrative hoops in the probate process. And so we try to help families ease those administrative headaches as much as possible.
Do you typically evaluate where the family is and then recommend a package of services that's going to get them up to speed? Is that kind of normal? Like more than
so
one
we do
thing?
everything on a flat fee basis based on a project. So our most simple project is estate planning, and it's a will, a financial power of attorney, and advance directive for healthcare. And so we try to make it as simple for our clients as possible. We give them a 2-page questionnaire. Who are you? Who's your family? What do you own? And then we, through conversation, figure out all the specifics that we're going to include in their document.
So the interaction that you have that's initially virtual, is it doable? Is it reasonable to do that just with the phone, or do you usually have to or try to get a video virtual with vision kind of connection established?
We can do it over the phone. We have done it over the phone in the past. I have started to really like having the video connection, particularly when we're talking about people's estate planning, because sometimes what they say and what their face say are not the same thing. And so the video does give me the opportunity to say, hey, you look confused. Let's back it out a little bit. Let's start over. Let's use plain English. I try to pride myself on speaking plain English all the time, but occasionally some of the legal terms slip in. So let's try to get back to the English.
It's real funny, Kelley, that you mentioned the nonverbal communication. And I think John and everyone, we all agree that probably 90% of good communications is nonverbal. So I don't know how this digital stuff, I don't know why anyone tries to communicate digitally without the visual. I really don't. But it's real interesting what you've indicated is that your work, rather now being face-to-face, has moved to a digital Zoom type call environment.
Do you find it challenging to get your clients accessible through video technology? Is that something you often find as a real stumbling block?
It hasn't been yet. Most of the time it's an adult child who's reaching out to us anyway to at least start those processes. And so we've got a chance for somebody who's at least used to FaceTime. We've been using Google Meet instead of Zoom because there's no software to download. So we're trying to make it as accessible as we can for folks, just not requiring them to have special software. We do have FaceTime for folks who feel like they can't pick up any of the other options. We've had a little bit of issue with clients who are in a nursing home, because then we have to get the social workers from the nursing home to take the tablet to them. And we've got some clients that even this is still, it's too remote for them. And so even the face-to-face, they still can't quite grasp everything. And so we are, on very limited occasions, bringing clients into the office, or like I said, going out to their homes to try to make sure, because we have to know that people understand what we're talking to them about and what we're asking them to sign.
Mm-hmm.
Kelley, that's great information. If as we close today, if there's one piece of advice you might give John, myself, those who may watch this, what piece of advice might you give them?
Now is the time to get your planning done. I would say at the beginning of March, April, it was healthcare workers and senior care professionals were almost 100% of our clients, because they could see what was happening, and it made it very real for them that now is the time to get their planning done. And so I'd say that's true for all of us, with numbers going up, with friends and family being exposed and being diagnosed with coronavirus. We can't be too careful in our health stance, but we certainly can't be too careful in our legal stance, and making sure that somebody's got access in case something terrible happens to be able to manage our affairs and make sure our bills are getting paid.
Well, Kelley, that's great. We want to thank you as we close for being our guest. We certainly find this information to be timely, and I think very, very good. And we hope that we have many people who access it. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Eugeria Live is brought to you by Griswold Home Care. View this show again on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or our website at www.eugerialive.com.